Many Mysteries in Jackson. Today we're going to be reading Late Night Slashing. Nate Spencer was standing alongside the curb when Officer Charlene Bell arrived at the scene. "Look at this," he cried, pointing to a fancy sports car with 4 slashed tires. "Look at my car." "When did you first discover your vehicle had been vandalized, sir?" Officer Bell asked, removing a notepad and pen from her pocket. "First thing this morning. I was leaving for work." "Any idea who might want to do this to your property?" "You mean like personal enemies?" Nate nodded. "I have a few thoughts. For starters, I was just promoted over one of my coworkers." Officer Bell began to take notes. "And who was that?" "Harold O'Toole. He was furious that I was promoted ahead of him." "How furious?" "He swore he'd get even." Officer Bell made a notation and closed the notebook. "Okay, I'll definitely question Mr. O'Toole. Of course, Sheila, my ex-wife, threatened the same thing after our divorce. She was unhappy with the settlement." Officer Bell reopened her notepad. Nate continued, "For one thing, the judge awarded me this car." He ran his hand lovingly over the hood. "Sheila's a founding broker over top sale offices and homes. Ever heard of them?" "Oh, sure. They sell a lot of nice properties." "That's right. So it's not really the car that she's upset about?" "Sheila could easily afford one. Her problem is that she doesn't like to lose." Officer Bell nodded. "Anyone else?" "I'll tell you someone else who doesn't like to lose," Nate replied. "My brother Tom. We were together at a game last night and made a friendly wager. He lost big time," Nate grinned, "and he was mad." "So you think maybe your brother could have done this?" Nate shrugged. "I'm just saying, he's always been a sore loser. When we were kids, he once..." "Excuse me," a spry-looking elderly woman called out, making her way toward them on the sidewalk. "That's Mrs. Wordle. She's the neighborhood busybody," Nate whispered to the officer. "How can we help you, Mrs. Wardle?" Officer Bell asked. "I have some information about your investigation." Nate rolled his eyes. "What kind of information?" The woman smiled slyly. "Well, I took a drive late last night. I do that when I can't sleep. On my way home, I saw a stranger running from your car." Nate perked up. "You did?" "What did the stranger look like?" Officer Bell asked. "Hard to say. It was dark. He was all dressed in black." It was a man?" Mrs. Wardle adjusted her glasses. "Who else could have done this kind of damage? Anyway, as I drove past, I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw the stranger get into a car parked right over there." She pointed to an area under the streetlight. "It had one of those vanity plates, you know the kind." "Were you able to read the plate?" Nate asked eagerly. "As a matter of fact, I could. I had just 3 letters. H-O-T. Hot? That's what that has to stand for, Harold O'Toole," Nate shouted. "There's your proof, officer. Arrest him now." Officer Bell glanced at her notes. "You're right, Mr. Spencer. I have all the proof I need to press charges." So the question is, who is the culprit? Mrs. Wordle hadn't seen Harold O'Toole leaving. She'd seen Nate's ex-wife. She read the vanity plates in the rearview mirror, which meant that they were reversed, not H-O-T, but T-O-H, for top offices and homes, the agency where Nate's ex-wife Sheila worked. Okay, they got a little, and these little spy hats too. These little, see? Well, Sheila. Oh, that one was by, let's give credit, S. Furlong Bolliger. Until next time.